Welcome, everyone, and thank you so much for joining me for today's explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to jump into this topic with you because honestly, we're talking about completely transforming your ordinary outdoor spaces. If you've ever looked at a patch of your yard and felt, completely uninspired, or maybe you've been fighting this losing battle with really difficult soil, you are in exactly the right place. Imagine transforming your everyday backyard into a serene alpine retreat, a stunning rock garden that turned neighbors green with envy. I absolutely love that quote from our sources. It really hits the nail on the head. And the best part? These sources show us that achieving exactly that is totally possible. We are going to uncover literally everything you need, from those initial planning stages all the way through to completion, regardless of your current gardening experience level. Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for today. Introduction to rock gardens, planning your rock garden, building the rock garden, selecting rock garden plants, caring for your garden, and finally, inspiring examples and ideas. Section 1. Introduction to rock gardens, bringing the mountains to your backyard. Rock gardens are honestly one of the most visually striking and unique landscaping choices you can possibly make. They give you this chance to display highly specialized, fascinating plants in a way that regular garden beds just can't match. When we talk about an alpine garden, or sometimes called a scree garden, we're talking about intentionally replicating a high-altitude mountain environment right there in your yard. The rocks aren't just decorative here. They are the absolute dominant visual and structural element. They mimic nature's rugged crevices, providing the perfect home for these compact, tough little plants that actually thrive in lean, fast-draining soil. If you have ever spent a long, hot summer breaking your back trying to amend heavy clay soil or fighting an endless, frustrating war against weeds, the benefits of a mature rock garden are going to sound incredible. Because once they're established, they are extremely low maintenance and highly eco-friendly. They require very little water, they offer amazing year-round texture, and they attract vital pollinators like bees and butterflies to your yard. It's really a total win-win. Moving on to Section 2, planning your rock garden. Siting, sourcing, and strategizing. Now, as eager as you might be to start hauling rocks around, a truly beautiful and functional rockery requires a bit of strategy before you ever break ground. So the crucial point is site selection. Your plants are going to need sunlight, a minimum of 5 to 6 hours a day. You also absolutely must avoid overhanging trees. And that's not just because of the shade, but because tree roots will aggressively compete with your alpine plants. If you happen to have a natural slope in your yard, definitely use it. It naturally aids drainage, which is literally the lifeblood of a rock garden. And keep in mind, nature doesn't do perfect squares, right? So be sure to mark out an organic, asymmetric shape for your bed. Next up, you need to choose your stone. The sources highlight two very popular choices, limestone and granite. Limestone is fantastic because it's porous. It holds just a tiny bit of moisture and it weathers beautifully over time. Plus, it's slightly alkaline, which a lot of alpine plants absolutely love. Granite, on the other hand, is non-porous and incredibly durable. It offers a very strong, angular, almost architectural look. Whatever you end up choosing, the golden rule from our sources is this: pick one primary rock type and stick to it. Mixing a bunch of different types of rock will make your garden look a bit artificial and cluttered, and we definitely want to avoid that. Section 3. Building the rock garden. From foundation to planting pockets. All right, we are now in the blueprint and build phase. This is the labor-intensive part for sure, but chunking it down into digestible, tactile steps helps us see exactly how to construct this from the ground up. Building a rock garden is all about layering, and it actually starts underground. Step 1 is your base layer, about 6 inches of coarse rubble, broken bricks, or gravel. Let me tell you, this is the secret sauce to avoiding waterlogged roots. Over that, you lay a barrier, like permeable landscape fabric or inverted turfs, just to keep your soil from washing straight down into the rubble. Then comes the fun part, placing your rocks and your specialized soil. Finally, you finish the whole thing off with a top dressing of fine gravel. Now, what's really interesting about this is how you actually place the stones. Our sources highlight a fascinating technique, burying at least 1/3 of every single rock. Seriously, this is how you fake the look of ancient mountainous terrain. If you just rest rocks on top of the dirt, it looks completely unnatural. You'll want to start with your biggest keystone rocks first to anchor the space. And here's a pro tip: tilt them slightly backward. That way, when it rains, the water actually runs back into the soil toward the roots, rather than just washing off the front face of the rock. Leave intentional organic gaps between these natural groupings. Those are your planting pockets. So, let's talk about what actually goes into those planting pockets. The secret lies in the classic rule of three for alpine soil. You want roughly 1/3 standard garden soil or loam, 1/3 coarse sand or horticultural grit, and 1/3 small gravel, pumice, or leaf mold. Whatever you do, do not use standard rich potting compost on its own. Rich, wet soil will rot alpine roots in a heartbeat. This lean, gritty mix we just outlined perfectly mimics a harsh mountain scree, which is exactly the environment these plants are craving. Section 4. Selecting rock garden plants. Choosing your vibrant alpine jewels. We've built the hardscape, and now we get to soften those harsh stones and bring the whole space to life with vibrant colors and incredible textures. If you're new to this, the sources highly recommend these foolproof, beginner-friendly alpine jewels. Plants like sempervivum, which you might know as hens and chicks, are basically indestructible little rosettes. Creeping phlox and aubrietta will cascade and trail so beautifully over the edges of your rocks, putting on just a massive show of color in the spring. And saxifraga, it absolutely loves being tucked tightly into those weathered limestone crevices. But it's not just about the low-lying flowers. To make the garden truly dynamic, you need structure and you need texture. Adding a dwarf conifer like a mugo pine gives the garden a real sense of scale. It makes it look like a miniature forest landscape. Throw in some steel blue ornamental grasses like blue fescue and maybe a wall shrub like cotoneaster for those gorgeous autumn berries. Our sources recommend aiming for about 10 to 15 different species to create a really diverse, cohesive aesthetic. Next up is Section 5, Caring for your garden, Maintenance and Troubleshooting. So, what does this all mean for long-term care? I know we noted earlier that this is a low-maintenance setup, and it absolutely is. But let's be real. Low maintenance doesn't mean no maintenance. Have you ever set up a new garden bed only to find yourself dealing with sinking stones, a sudden weed takeover, or your plants just melting away from root rot? Let's troubleshoot how to avoid these common early-stage pitfalls. Here's how you keep your alpine retreat thriving year after year. First, remember that overwatering is pretty much your only real enemy here. Water them well during that first season to establish the roots, sure, but after that, only water during severe droughts. Now, weeds actually love gravelly soil, so you'll want to hand pull those little seedlings early before their roots get trapped under your heavy rocks. In the winter, ensure your drainage isn't blocked by dead leaves, because winter wetness kills alpines way faster than the cold ever will. And finally, keep up with that gravel top dressing. It really is your best friend against both weeds and slugs. Section 6. Inspiring examples and ideas. Taking your design to the next level. Let's move to this and see how it builds when we look at some truly spectacular designs from around the globe. This should really spark your creativity. One of the most striking trends right now is the crevice garden. Instead of laying rocks flat, you take thin, flat slabs of sandstone and set them vertically, close together. It almost looks like the pages of a book that's been slightly opened. It looks incredibly dramatic, but it's also highly functional. It forces the plant roots to grow deep down between those cool stones, creating a perfect microclimate that protects delicate alpines from both the scorching summer heat and the rotting winter wet. If you're working with a slope, think big. You can use large, flat rocks as natural retaining walls to build tiered terraces. And if you really want to elevate the space, integrate a recirculating waterfall. Just imagine stepping into your backyard and not only seeing a beautiful mountain landscape, but actually hearing the calming sensory sound of water trickling over weathered stone. It completely changes the entire atmosphere of your yard. I really hope this explainer has shown you that creating a stunning rock garden is entirely within your reach. It's a gorgeous, eco-friendly, visually captivating project that will absolutely reward you for years to come. So, take a look at your yard, make a plan, and start gathering those rocks today. The information presented is for educational and inspirational purposes only. Always research specific plants and local regulations before starting your project. So what hidden, uninspired corner of your yard is just waiting for its alpine transformation? Thanks for joining me, and happy gardening.